Hello, I'm Caspian Conran, a political economist at Beringa. Welcome to this four-part series where we'll be looking at the implications of the choices of the four major emitters as we move ahead to Glasgow and COP26. These four players, China, the United States, the EU and India, will have a disproportionate impact over the global energy transition and, crucially, whether we'll hit those Paris-aligned goals. China, the world's largest emitter, soon to potentially be the world's largest economy. The decisions that China makes over the decades ahead will have a huge impact over the nature of the energy transition across the world. We've evaluated China according to our credibility and durability framework. Our credibility axis there on the x-axis, looking at policy maturity, how developed is the decarbonisation policy of China. We've afforded it a score 3, middle of the pack, behind the European Union but ahead of India. The durability axis, that's looking at the momentum behind decarbonisation. Is there broad political support at home to continue to support decarbonisation? We say, on balance, yes in China. There is some momentum behind decarbonisation. However, we note that this is generally for ancillary purposes, such as air pollution, rather than over a concern for climate change itself. That will be very important in the next few minutes when we look at the risks facing China and the energy transition. Looking there at the policies over the last decade. China has increased its emissions over the last decade when we look at the base year of 2005 in line with rapid economic development. However, the policy projections from Climate Action Tracker does show a plateauing of emissions over the next 5 years. That's to align to those Xi Jinping commitments of peaking emissions by 2030. We know that's a really important policy for China. However, there's less credibility behind Xi Jinping, the president of China's more aggressive policy of a net zero commitment by 2060. Currently, there isn't the policies domestically to give credibility to that target. Having said that, there has been welcome progress, most notably in the power generation sector, where there's a target for a 25% low carbon generation in the mix by 2030. In transport as well, China continues to dominate the market for electric vehicles, dominating the supply chain and domestic manufacturing production globally. We've seen really strong policies both to subsidise electric vehicles and also support the domestic supply chain. A mandate to increasingly support or mandate the sales of zero electric vehicles is in place by 2035. At that point, all sales must either be hybrids or fully low carbon. A huge policy development for China, really supporting that domestic industry. However, that's not to say that there aren't risks at home, risks to the decarbonisation agenda in mainland China, most notably the primacy of social stability and economic growth. We know that the social contract between China's Communist Party in Beijing and the citizens at home is predicated on material increases in living standards every year. And we know that that often conflicts against other goals, such as decarbonisation. When they did conflict, like during the pandemic of COVID-19, we saw China revert to type, aggressively supporting economic growth and employment through using carbon-intensive investment techniques, such as increasing production quotas of concrete, cement and steel production. Therefore, it shows with great evidence that when security and economic growth is threatened, China tends to roll back environmental protections and policies. As China's growth matures and its economy becomes more sophisticated, its headline rates of growth are expected to shrink. How China responds to that, whether it moves away from an investment-led economy to a more consumer-orientated economy, will be crucial to determine whether it will align to those decarbonisation goals. Secondly, we can see energy security remains a considerable risk for those in the Communist Party in Beijing. China has been blessed with an abundance of domestic coal reserves, which gives it energy security. However, it's very, very low in reserves of oil and gas. About 30% of domestic consumption of gas comes from abroad, most notably through crucial disrupted sea in the South China Sea. The worse the relationships beget between China and the United States, the more concerned Party members in the Politburo in Beijing become over energy security. Those hawks in the party continue to argue to maintain coal in the energy mix in order to ensure that foreign leverage disrupting those crucial supply lanes couldn't be used to abuse China in the future. Let us know by commenting below what you think of China's energy transition.